What are we talking about today? Worthiness and comparison. Hello, you beautiful human you. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you've had an amazing week. And let's go ahead and jump right in. I don't know about you, but this week has been a little bit of a doozy. I know last week we talked all about boundaries and saying no and how it's paramount for your business. What's hilarious is I got a chance to practice that in real life in regards to something to my business a few days later. I think we chatted about that too, about how when you move forward and you decide this is the way you're going, which I've been doing that for a long while now, but every once in a while the universe is like, here you go. Are you sure? You want to practice some more? Let's just make sure that what you've chosen is what you really want to do. And then you have to act on it. The other thing that has come up this week is worthiness. And I'm going to do this now, in case you don't watch the whole video through. I want you to repeat after me. I am worthy. I want you to feel it in your body. All the way down, like not just rattling around up here, but down in your body. And you're worthy for just being you. Not for what you've done, not for what you're planning to do in the future, not for any certifications or diplomas you have, not for your job title, not for how many people you've helped or haven't. You being you alone means you are worthy, with no strings attached. And whether this is something that you struggle with, or you've never really thought about or pondered on, or it's been a journey for you as well, and something that you have been working on, sometimes it's really easy to sort of act on autopilot and we forget to come back and remind ourselves of what's true. So maybe it's been a while since you've reminded yourself that you are worthy. So that's why that little tidbit was there. And because that's been such a theme this week for me and all of the clients that I'm working with, I wanted to share about it here with you. And then also that leads us into comparison, right? They kind of almost go hand in hand, which is hilarious because I was thinking this morning, and I am filming this the day that I'm putting it up, even though that's not always my favorite, because it's been so crazy with working through some stuff this week, and then my body requiring a rest the last couple of days. It just means that today I'm recording, and that's okay. So while I was thinking about what I was going to talk to you about, I knew that I wanted to talk to you about how you are worthy, but then also came up with talking about comparison, because that's also kind of been a slight underlying theme. Because it's really easy, especially if you're a newbie, especially if you're just starting out growing your business, or even if you've been doing it for a while. It's super easy to look outside of yourself at what other people are doing and then get down on yourself because you're not as far as they are, or you're not moving as quickly as they are, or maybe they have more people in their space than you do and they started after you. All of those sorts of things leads us into a very tricky spot that can actually get us stuck in some major mindfuckery, and I promise it's not worth it. But yet it's so easy to fall into. And even still, it's something that I have to work through occasionally as well. And so what do? First, awareness is key. Being aware of your thoughts, remembering that you are not your thoughts. You can sit up here and you can observe your thoughts and your feelings, and you can decide from there. You don't have to stay stuck in the whirling and the swirling of the mindfuckery. So first thing is catching yourself or catching your thoughts when they're doing that and going and sort of putting you in a woe is me situation where you're looking at other people and, oh, I wish I had that. Oh, if only I could do that. If only I was that much farther. Why is it taking me so long? All of those sorts of things. Being aware that that's what's happening. Then second of all, remind yourself of what's true. You don't know how much shit they've had to walk through prior to you seeing them right here. That's what's got them to this point seemingly quicker. I think we did talk about this in a video in the past. It's been a couple of months though. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. You don't always see all of the shit that had to be piled on that grass for it to look so green. And you're over here comparing your grass that you've just started, or, that isn't quite as green as that grass. But if you actually knew what had to happen and what that person had to walk through and go through to get that grass, maybe you might not be so thrilled. So it's worth being aware, and then it's worth remembering that you are only responsible for yourself. And so you are responsible for capturing your thoughts. You are responsible for reminding yourself of what's true. Also, The other thing that I have to remind myself of sometimes when I see somebody that started at the same time as me or even later than I did, it could be some 20-year-old dude that has no family, no partner, nothing else. This is all he does or she does. And that's just not realistic for me. That's also not how I operate. That's not what actually brings life to my soul. And so when you're able to like be aware of that, be aware of what you're doing in your brain, and then remind yourself of what's true as far as looking at how far you've come, or reminding yourself of all the other balls in the air that you're juggling. You know, maybe you have family, maybe you have a 9-to-5, maybe you also have another side hustle. Maybe you've got a partner, maybe you've got elderly parents, maybe you've got a medically fragile kiddo. There's all sorts of things that get added into your bucket that when you're looking at somebody else, they may not have those same things in their bucket. Plus, we're all different types of humans. Some of us humans just move faster than the others. And does that mean that one is better than the other? Nope. We just operate differently, and that's okay. So when you can get to the point where you are aware and you remind yourself of what's true, then you can remember that all that you really should be comparing yourself is to the past version of you. Have you made progress? Have you grown? And it doesn't always have to be in business. Maybe it's some personal shit you have to walk through, because just like I say all the time, entrepreneurship is one of the quickest ways to the inner work that's required so that you can actually hold that dream that you envision and that you want so desperately. Because if we were the version of ourselves that could hold that, we would already have it. So sometimes the personal stuff that you walk through and that you're growing through and that you're experiencing is what will help you also in your business be able to expand and grow and hold. But then the next step beyond that is just realizing that you've always done the best that you've been able to with the information that you hold at the time. When I heard that saying, it definitely gave me a different perspective, right? So it's easy to look back at old you and say, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Oh man, that could have gone so much differently, or wish that you could change things in your life. However, if you go back and change things, you wouldn't be who you are now. And yeah, some learning lessons are like a real big pain in the ass and they're not fun to walk through. But also you did the best that you could at that time with the information that you had at that moment. Not many humans that I know intentionally choose the wrong thing. Typically, we all are trying to do the best thing for us, and for the most part, the other humans around us, the bulk of the time. So when you start getting into a sad, woe is me, pity party, I wish things were different, like, I want you to think about that. Because actively when you're doing that and you're choosing to sit in that, sometimes it's beneficial to like be able to resolve things or think through things a little bit differently that have happened in the past. But if you're continually spiraling in that muck, that's robbing you of this moment, this present moment that you have right now. Like, the past is gone. You can't do anything about it. The future isn't here yet. You just have this moment. So if you're wasting time, or you're spending all of your time thinking about how things should be different, or worrying about what somebody else is doing, when all you have control over is yourself and your own thoughts, or how you respond to those thoughts and how you respond to other people. When you choose to start focusing on those things and taking radical self-responsibility in that way, that's when things start sort of getting fun, because you realize, yes, there's always stuff that comes in that you don't have control over, yada, yada, yada. But when you realize that you have control over those things, how you respond and how you choose to move in your own life, and choosing to be present in this moment and not trying to control what happens in the future. Because like I've said before, the more you try to control things and control how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, exactly all of that sort of thing, it like contorts it, and it like actually creates a really big mess most of the time that's really not worth it. And I know that's scary because as humans, we like to have control over things, right? But I will tell you from my own experience and like 35 years of trying to control as much as I could, because that's how I was brought up, that the wife and the mom has to have all of these things under control. And like, if you homeschool, it looks like this way. If you're a certain faith, it looks like this way, and all of that stuff. It actually made me really physically ill. Landed me with some thyroid and adrenal problems. Definitely don't recommend. And I will tell you, in the last handful of years, since I've been able to work through some stuff so that when I am triggered or when something happens that brings something to mind, I can remind myself that that happened back then and that this is now. And just because that happened doesn't mean that this is what's happening right now. And I can work myself through that so that the past isn't always right here in the present moment, creating a clusterfuck. And also not trying to control everything that is happening and what I feel like should happen in the future. Things have gotten a hell of a lot easier. And it's one of those things, again, that the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And the quicker that you can make those choices for yourself. But it requires you to dip your toes in and to choose in. And remember that the universe or God will give you ample opportunities to practice when you choose to move slightly differently than you have been. So, one more time. Repeat after me. I am worthy. And if you feel like extra spicy and you want to try something, set an alarm, either in the morning or the evening, on your phone to go off and remind you of that. And saying it in your mind is one thing. Speaking it out loud in your words is another. Like if you want extra bonus points, speak it out loud to somebody you know. Because those are all different layers and you can almost feel it in your body when you choose to speak it out loud. Feel like that, what that feels like. Speak it to another human, right? And then you start becoming able to embody that more and believing it about yourself. And then that will eventually cause a ripple effect and also change how you operate and how you move slightly. So that's it for this week. If you aren't already, hit the follow button so you get notified the next time we make a post. If these sorts of topics are interesting to you, if you're looking for a group full of neurospicy and neurotypical humans that just don't move the way the bro marketers and hustle culture peeps do, check out the description below. Join us in our free space. And otherwise, I hope you have a freaking amazing week and we will see you on the next one.